Hey there, Jerry Shapper, the Bug Doctor, PestCemetery.com. Talking to you today about large roaches in bathrooms. It's a common problem with some uncommon hiding places and some uncommon treating methods that you may need to employ to work. You know, you might be the bug guy that's been out there 3 or 4 times trying to get these big roaches under control, but your surface sprays or your baits under the cabinets or dusting just doesn't seem to work. Well, there's a couple of spots that you might have overlooked, and we'll need to explore that a little bit and see if we can't help you solve that problem. Let's take a look, shall we? Alrighty. The one thing about the big roaches is that they will leave some rather sizable evidence behind. You can see the roach droppings here on the commode. Sometimes I'll find a whole nest of them right up under here where the tank meets the bowl, and that's perfect for them, a lot of moisture. Other times there'll be a little gap in here somewhere around the bottom of the toilet bowl, and man, they can house a whole city of them right up in here. Very difficult to get anything up in there, like up and in, unless you're using like a 4-way fogger. Puff some dust in there nice and light to get it to shoot up in there. But I've seen just piles and piles of this fecal matter just pile up in some of these cracks where you know you have a problem. Can't really drill in there or anything. You can lift the toilet up if you're so inclined, but that's a lot of work. So it's one spot that they usually can and will congregate and be totally protected from your sprays and treatment. Now don't rule out the tank. This just up underneath, because sometimes these are pretty loosely fitted, and so you lift this up and you'll find roaches actually living inside the tank. You want to watch that. I also found a lot of ants that way. Another spot is underneath the sink itself. This one's not a great example of a moisture problem. It's pretty dry under here. So this kind of lets you know you can rule this out. Where there's an abundance of moisture, sometimes to the point where mildew is kind of growing and you can smell it, that's when you're going to have these big roaches in great abundance. They're going to live right behind the flanges and infest in the walls behind the cabinet and behind the drywall. There's really 2 layers there. You got that wood, and then you have a layer of drywall. They'll be right in there, and as long as they've got moisture, they're up and down that wall, no problem. They're finding all kinds of things they can eat. Then underneath, that's a hollow false bottom there, and you can have all kinds of critters living up underneath something like that. Sometimes you can put your hand right up on here and it'll reach right over. You could reach right over and get to this false side, but this cabinet is not so much. Maybe over here in the corner a little bit there's a hole, but other than that it's pretty well sealed. So if you wanted to access that, you'd have to take a small drill and drill a tiny hole up high enough where people can't see it, pop in some dust or some CB80 or some sort of aerosol and wipe them out, and that'd be good. But again, this is not the greatest example because this is nice and dry, so we need to keep hunting and see what's happening. There we go. Now you see how that is? That cover just kind of goes up there, and to the average homeowner that's just sealed and nothing can penetrate, nothing can come out of there. But as you can see, just with a slight push, look at all of that void up in there. And then if you really, I don't want to ruin it, but if you pull that down, there's little slits in the collar or the housing of this light, this recessed lighting, where wires hold this frame up and perhaps the thing in place. So a roach can easily come through those slits, or maybe even lay his egg near the light, because remember, this is warmth, so this is something they want to do. So if they're up in the attic, came from the gutter or whatever, they will sense that this is an opening, and this is where they'll come out, right here. Another spot which is classic for all sorts of critters, and that is the bathroom vent. This is for a vent that doesn't really do much of anything except circulate the air, or get rid of some bad smells. This vent comes down, and almost all of them do in the recessed lighting and everything. These little tabs here go into a little slit, and when you pull them together, it comes down. And different vents are different, so be careful and don't break them. But once we did all that, we could see all this fecal matter here. Now the roaches were probably too big to fit through these little vents, little slits. So there they were, just doing their fecal matter happy stuff, and probably tried to get back up and in, and more than likely did, either through this little slit here. This whole side here is most likely the best bet. Or, like we said, right up through the fan itself, because that just opens up into a nice hollow area and goes up either all the way through the attic or just dumps out into the attic somewhere. So the best way to treat this, you could use dust, like we said earlier, and get around the sides, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put some dust up there, and I'm going to really put my nozzle up in there to shoot it up underneath that insulation. And if I make a little indentation, see that? That'll cover any kind of marring or anything I do. I don't want to screw up anybody's house. So if it were too tight or that wasn't gonna cover, then I just use that real thin straw. But I want to get dust because I want it to last a long time. I'm really kind of puffing it in there. The rule of light kind of goes out the window. Ooh, there we go. Turn our fan on. I'll let that suck the dust up rather than having it down around my head. I'll have the homeowner clean this off, so it's not like a continuing problems. Once we know we've gotten rid of them, and if we open this up in 3 months and there's more of this, then we know. So we want to clean that off, and that'll treat that. And I think that's the source of our problem. Gently push it back up. Make sure everything's working, and we're good to go. Hey, this has been Jerry Schapper, the Bug Doctor with PestCemetery.com. Thanks so much for enjoying my blog. I got some business to take care of. See ya.